What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another episode of Metcast. On today's crappy weather day, the New York Mets got spanked in the early afternoon hours. I am Ray, and of course, that's my co-host Dan over there. And if you're enjoying this content, we just ask you to give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, leave us a sub if you're over on YouTube or a follow over on Facebook. But Dan, the debate begins, fellas. The debate begins. People in the comments, let us know below what your thoughts are on Juan Soto, because as one of his most avid defenders, it's getting hard. It's getting very hard, and Dan and I sit on two opposite sides of the spectrum here. So I'm going to pull up his stats for my side, and I'll let Dan explain his side. But I am officially worried about Juan Soto. Not long-term, but I'm talking about his first year here. I put out a tweet earlier today, Dan, asking people whether or not they were concerned about Juan Soto and his low OPS and not being able to hit at the top of the lineup. And I got a lot of mixed reactions. I would say probably 50-50. Half people were saying they're not worried at all. The other half say, yes, I'm worried, but look at what Lindor and Beltran did. The difference is Juan Soto's making $120 million this year, and he's making 15 years contract with the New York Mets. Lindor and Beltran do not have that. And here's my argument. In the month of May, Juan Soto, in 85 at-bats, 18 hits. He is hitting 212 on the month. Today's the 28th. That OPS is now officially below 800 on the year, and it's 763 in the month of May. Now, OPS could be a little bit misleading when it comes to Juan Soto's stats, in my opinion, because he walks so much. When some people would argue a walk's as good as a hit. Sometimes, but not when you're Juan Soto. And here's my deal. 0 doubles in his last 18 games. 0 home runs in his last 15 games. That's not a small stretch. It is now 2 months, Dan. We're in on this. We didn't pay the highest contract in the history of Major League Baseball to have Juan Soto hit 224. And on top of that, you could convince me, like I was here since the beginning, saying, you know what, it's early, don't worry. We're at the 60-game mark. It is no longer early in this season. And some people are like, well, wait a little bit longer. How much longer? 100 games? 120? It's not even as though we're seeing signs of life. There is 0 signs of life. This same thing continues. We've seen it earlier today. Guys on base. What does he either do? He rolls it over to first base, or he watches strike 3 right down the middle. Too many times this season, he takes the first pitch for a strike. Fine, you want to gauge the pitcher. He'll then take strike 2 right down the middle. And they had a stat on it the other night. He is struggling with 95 plus, which he's never done. If you look at his career stats since he's entered Major League Baseball, he is top 3 in Major League Baseball in OPS of 95 plus miles per hour. It's clear. I don't know what's going on. People say, well, he's adjusting. Was he adjusting last year with the Yankees? You could try to sell me the big contract, sure. But let's be honest. Soto was brought here because not only could he handle the pressure, he wanted it. Juan Soto was his best last year when Aaron Judge was stinking up the joint in October. Juan Soto hit the mega home run to beat the Cleveland Guardians, send the Yankees to the World Series and to the next round, and have an unbelievable postseason. And we thought we were getting that guy that was full bore, no nonsense, hit the ball all over the park. Soto shuffle, which I now feel he's forcing because it's a headline. You could clearly see. Don't believe my eyes or your eyes. You just watch the game. Listen to who's critiquing him, the Ron Darlings, Keith Hernandez, and the rest of the crews. Juan Soto is clear as day, not feeling it right now. And him all of a sudden doing this Soto shuffle and striking out a pitch or two later, I'm good. But I don't expect this to turn around anytime soon. There's no life on it. Dan, how many times are we going to see a ground ball to first base with guys on? He's amongst the league's worst when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. And as David Stern said in his press conference just a short time ago, when we look for guys with runners in scoring position, it's an anxiety thing. Sometimes you can't measure it that great. Well, I thought I was getting Juan Soto, the king of the RBI and clutch situation. Hell, MLB The Show, the mega video game that so many fans love to play. He's got a 99 out of 100 clutch, the highest in all of Major League Baseball. But this year, up until now, and for the foreseeable future, until we see something different, he has not been clutch. And I, Dan, am concerned.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. And thank you, everybody who is here tonight, too, as well. A lot to get into with this Soto stuff. So first thing, I wrote about it this week, and I think a lot of this goes back to the money. We all know it, 765. There was a lot of pressure the second he put pen to paper and said, hey, I want to spend the next 15 years with the New York Mets. All right, we're all on board. You haven't seen the enthusiasm. I agree. You haven't. He leads the league in ground balls into double plays with 10. So he's not doing a lot of the right things that we expected from Juan Soto, again, when he signed that big contract, hitting all these clutch home runs, having a 400 on base, doing things that Soto normally does in his sleep. Now, a couple things. I think a lot of that is going to happen in the playoffs, just naturally in the moment. Soto, the caliber of player that he is, he rises up to those moments. We saw what he did. Big home run with the Yankees against Cleveland, sends them to the World Series. I could see a similar thing happening with the Mets, but it's going to be a little bit leading up to that as well, like August, September. I don't know when he's finally going to turn it on. Nobody does, but he's too good of a player not to. And the advanced stats, which you guys know I try to stay away from when I can, it's more eye test and watching these games. But all the advanced stats tell you that he's just running into bad luck. A 90% difference between his weighted on-base average and his expected weighted on-base average. That's just accounting exit velocities and launch angles. He's running into bad luck, guys. And for anyone who has watched these games, it all adds up. There's a reason he's grounding into double plays. I don't know the intrinsic reason, mentality, physically. I have no idea. That's only speculation at this point. But at the end of the day, he's not what Juan Soto has expected him to be. But at the same time, he's still not terrible. He's still 23% above league average. Is he a great right fielder? No, but let's be honest. He's getting to some of these balls, holding singles or holding doubles to singles. I don't want to be an apologist for the guy, Ray, but I think we kill him because of the contract. That's it. And when he hits, nobody's going to have anything else to say. That's his problem. He's not hitting. So
I see your point there. I agree with a lot of things you said, especially the contract. I didn't think he was that kind of player, and we'll get to a couple of your guys' comments. If you want to get involved, make sure to leave a comment. We'll be getting to a bunch of you guys. I see you, Clue, Buzz, as always. Everyday Mets, I see you guys there. We'll get to you in just a minute. Let me know your arguments, because I have my side. Dan has his side. X has their side. It seems to be all over the place, and I want to see a lot of your guys' arguments, because maybe you could talk me off the fence. Look, I still love Juan Soto. I know what he can be, but I am sick and tired of waiting around. This division is so good. This is not the American League East, where the Yankees have a comfortable 7-game lead because they're the only good team. Boston's a giant disappointment. The Blue Jays suck. The Orioles have fallen off a cliff, and we all know what Tampa Bay is doing with the world's largest rebuild operation this year. This is the National League East. the favorite to win it all last year, Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Braves who are getting healthy, guys like Spencer Strider who could win the Cy Young, Acuna who could win the MVP. They're playing the Phillies right now. They're beating each other up. And today's performance
physically.
almost, I want to
Literally,
say, was what'd you say?
literally Strider hit Harper. I don't know if you saw.
Yes, I did see that. And after the game, he said wasn't intentional. Yeah, sure. But I will say this, Pete, and let me preference this really quick. Again, I like Soto, but I'm not even saying the fans deserve better, Dan. You know who deserves better? Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor. That's who deserves better. The bottom of this Mets lineup, Tyron Taylor, Acuna, they've been getting on base consistently. And when Acuna's not hitting, he's a pinch runner. But the bottom of this lineup, when Brett Beatty was hitting ninth, getting on constantly. And Juan Soto's coming to the plate. I actually am not a fan of the move him going to the 3-hole. Because what has happened over the last few days, Dan? All of a sudden, there's guys on in a big spot, and here comes Brandon Nimmo. Not saying Brandon Nimmo hasn't done well. He's done fantastic in the 2-hole. Can't complain about it. But that's supposed to be where the $765 million man is, to break open games, not to hit a little single. And clearly power numbers seem to be around down all over. The ball's just not carrying. I don't know if MLB is using a dead ball or not. You're watching these 100+ mile-an-hour balls die before the warning track in the outfield. But that shouldn't matter when it comes to a guy like Juan Soto. I am here for the 280 plus 900 OPS. That is what he was paid to do. And the fact that Mets fans around New York consistently say, well, Ray, he's got to adjust. You don't pay someone $120 million in their first season for an adjustment period. What is the first thing Steve Cohen said when he bought the team? This will be my final point. We'll get to Dan's rebut and let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What is the first thing Steve Cohen said when he bought this team? I do not pay people to learn on the job. I do not pay Juan Soto almost $1 million a game to have a 750 league average OPS. You are being, it's like David Stearns. He became the highest paid executive in baseball, and he's expected to perform with it every single day. But because he's behind the scenes doing masterclass things, and we could touch on that with the prospects, which we will shortly. Dan and I will get into that for some of you guys who like them as much as we do. If that was David Stearns performing the way Juan Soto does on the field, we would be grossly killing him. And again, before Mets fans kill me, I love Juan Soto. I have stuff all over my office and studio about him. But I'm getting tired of waiting. And no, I will not boo him. I think you have the right to boo him. I'll not tell fans how to fan. I don't like to do that. But I, for one, will not boo him because I never think it helps the situation. The guy's pressing clearly. But I was told I was getting Mr. Clutch. But clearly right now, he's been anything but it, Dan.
Yeah, I think a lot of that goes back to two things. We know he's a great player. He's generational at hitting. He is going to the Hall of Fame if everything else continues on this trajectory. But there is that part of it that, hey, the contract is holding him to a very high standard. And I think a lot of what he did on the Yankees last year holds him to a very high standard. Hits 40 home runs in the biggest and greatest city on planet Earth. Everyone expects that he can live up to that going to the Mets, right? Not as big of a pressure situation as the big bad Yankees. Well, clearly there's an adjustment period that's going on. I don't have a reason for it. Ray doesn't have a reason for it. That's why we're sitting here trying to find an answer. But at the end of the day, I think it goes back to the contract. It goes back to the high expectations. Let's be honest, maybe over expectation or over exceeding of some kind that he did last year. That could very well be the greatest season in Juan Soto's career last year. I would
Let's
not be.
hope not.
I hear you, but let's be honest, it could be. And we're all trying to reach that same bar. he's a clutch player. He's always going to be a surgeon in the box. That's not going to change. And the bigger the moment, the bigger he's going to be. But the Mets have to get to those big moments with Juan Soto. And
Well, we had a couple, and he
yeah,
stunk it up against the
but
Yankees. We thought it
you
was
know,
going to be that.
like playoff
I
moments.
get
And
it. But you know what, Dan? And this is nothing against you. You're my guy, my brother. We got to get there. We
I know.
have to get there. You can't lose to the White Sox and the Rockies and expect to be in the playoffs. This division, I want to win the division. I'm so tired of going into the playoffs. And if we get to round 2, which it was fortunate for last year for us, I know a lot of fans say, Ray, we beat the Phillies last year. Yeah, you know what? It's a different league year. And whoever wins this division is going to have the opportunity to set their rotation the way they want heading into that series. That's why people say, well, now it doesn't matter. So many wild card teams win and beat the. I'd rather have the extra 2 games, Dan, and be able to set my lineup, have a better strategy. And excuse me, for all the Mets fans out there saying, fire the hitting coach. Dan, the guy's making $765 million. Shouldn't be that way. But let's get to some of these comments and we can circle back around. Klub, what's going on, brother? Soto batting 224. Unacceptable. Everyday Mets. Hey, Dan, Ray, love you guys. Appreciate you in here, my guy. It's been rough, but that's why we have such a good community. we could all whine and complain, for lack of a better term. Buzz, what's going on, bro? What's up, fellas? Yeah, I'm at a point. I hate the guy. His body language says it all. All his money for walk-ups, Ks, and weak groundouts of first and second. Also, sick of the Beltran comparison. I'm not sick of Soto yet, but I get it with the Beltran thing. I am too. Let's be honest, Dan. People say, well, Lindor and Beltran. He is supposed to be a once-in-a-generation Bryce Harper type talent. Lindor was not that, and Beltran most definitely is not that. Lindor could be on a Hall of Fame trajectory one day, God willing. Let's hope. We'd all love to see him in Cooperstown and go there. But Beltran is a borderline Hall of Famer at best. Juan Soto's supposed to be the Manny Ramirez of this generation, the Alex Rodriguez of the early 2000s, the Ken Griffey Jr. of the late 90s. That's what we're talking about here. That kind of eye, that kind of opposite power. He's still pulling off the ball. And another thing that frustrates me, and I can't believe I'm going in like this, but this is my side of the debate to have. Wasn't it just a couple weeks ago when he said he made a tweak to his swing and he figured it out? He thinks he's going to be good going forward. Since that day, 0 home runs, 0 doubles, sub-7 OPS. What'd you figure out, Juan? And I love the guy. Again, I gotta keep prefacing that. Because what people do with this show, because Dan and I try to keep it honest and appreciate you guys all being in here. What people love to do is say, oh, I'm going to take this clip of Ray and I'm going to post it out of context. We're going to post it all over. Look at this fool. I love Juan Soto. But this is New York, and you're allowed to be critical when deserved. We will praise you. We will sing your song like Lindor. We will sing OMG. We will clap for you. We'll go get your autographs. We will cheer you on. But when you're slumping, and this is beyond a slump, this is, Dan, it's going on over 2 months, 60 games. This is not a slump. This is a mental thing. It's not like, oh, I gotta, when Pico gets out of, he starts swinging at balls outside the zone, chasing that slider. It's not like that. Something is going on. Maybe this guy needs a mental break. I think that's what they tried to do the other week. You and I spoke about it off the air. Why is he getting Wednesday night off when they're off Thursday? They gave him off against Pittsburgh, and of course we lose that game. Why is he off? We're in this stretch run. We need to win. We need to win consistently. It gets harder when your number 2 or number 3 guy is a complete zero. I'm not looking for him to just get on at first base and walk. We need the doubles. We need the home runs. 0 doubles in his last 18, which is almost a third of the season. Think about that, Dan. The last third of the season, 0 doubles and 3 home runs. 0 in his last 15. It's concerning. It's not like he's hitting a lot of line drives and it's at people. I understand he's got the high hit rate, which you referenced, which I agreed with maybe a month ago. But it's no longer like that. Hit the ball out of right field. Hit the ball to left center. His home runs, where are they coming? They're all coming to center field in Arizona and left center. But he's continuing to pull the ball. It's where I see. Go ahead, get to your comment, and then we'll continue on some of the comments. Again, guys, if you want to get involved in the conversation, YouTube, Facebook, we're taking those comments first. Leave them in the comment section, and we'll pull you up. Go ahead, Dan.
I think a lot of this, again, we try to think about
YouTube, Facebook, we're taking those comments first.
So I was just checking out Metcast on Instagram. Go check that out.
Yeah, guys, we're going to try to link with Dan's account. He's got a big account over there too. But we're working out some of those kinks. It is a nightmare to stream on Instagram, but we have over 20 people live over there. I don't know who they are, but if you want to get involved in the conversation, head on over to YouTube because I can't see the Instagram comments, and I see there's a bunch of them. It just freezes. But go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, we try to think about, and I bring this up a couple times to you, the mentality of Soto this offseason, right? A lot of pressure. You had the Blue Jays coming in from left field, the Red Sox, the Dodgers probably offering. We knew they weren't going up to the 10 years, but 5 years, $500 million sounds pretty good to join them. So there was a lot of pressure probably on him. And then obviously between the 2 New York teams as well. So I really think it comes down to him leaving the shadow of Aaron Judge. I think that was a real thing. Judge is the best hitter we've ever seen. I mean, you might say Bonds, of course, or Griffey, one of those guys, but for me, not even close. It's Aaron Judge.
McGuire, Sammy Sosa when he was on the juice. Look, Judge is the best hitter that I've ever seen right now.
Yeah,
hands down, better than Bonds, better than what I ever saw out of Bonds. Whether or not that stays long term, we'll see. It just sucks the Yankees brought him up very late, 24 years old, so he'll never have a shot at any of the all-time records, in my opinion. But yeah, he's the greatest hitter. Oh, excuse me, as I think the game going on right here.
I think a lot of that was him wanting to get out of that shadow, come to the Mets, join Lindor and everything they got going with Pete, and he fits like a glove with this team, and I think that was his intention, but he's maybe too complacent. He's too settled in a lot of ways. We obviously looking for him to settle in and become Juan Soto, but I think I saw a comment. He's talking to the umps. He's chattering. I get it. I mean, you see it, and something's not lining up. His actions, and right after the game, I think it was against the Nationals, you guys saw I was hustling, or the Red Sox, whatever it was. I'm hustling. You just have to see it. I mean, you could have fooled me. Like, you're blatantly lying. And
don't believe your lying eyes, Dan.
Right. So I think a lot of it is Soto just maybe getting too complacent and not thinking about the fans. And obviously the fans, all they're thinking about is Juan Soto and him getting going. And it's going to happen eventually, guys. You got to trust that it will.
I'm wondering if he's trying to look nonchalant while under pressure right now. Because, look, it'd be one thing if Pete Alonso wasn't hitting behind him. Pete Alonso was the National League MVP the first 50 games. It's not like last year's Pete where there's no power. He wasn't hitting over 300. Pete Alonso, 30 games in, was hitting 295 with 1,100, 1,200 OPS. So it's not like you didn't have protection behind you. He was hitting just as good as Judge ever did last year. But let's get to some more of these comments before we move on to our next portion of the show, which you guys are going to want to hear, because our boy John Harper, who we had on last week and now has become a good friend of the show. Appreciate John for coming on. He threw something out there in regard to a potential massive trade proposal that could change the way this franchise is shaped. And I would assume it would be an off-season move, but it's something we could play around on with considering there's no baseball tonight. Every day says you have no choice. You have to wait for Juan Soto to get here. The money is spent. That's right. That's why I say I'm concerned. Everyone's like, oh, trade him. Yeah, who? First of all, no one was willing to give him his current contract. And now that he's not hitting, who's going to take that on? I mean, I don't, Frank the Tank loves to yell that, but, I like Frank. Frank's a friend of the show, been on the show, but he's off his rocker a little bit lately, according to, my opinion. Brennan says he's folding under pressure. He's going to deny it 1,000 times, but it's the truth. You could see it with his groundouts. I agree. That is it's anticipation. He's out in front. He's been out in front since day one, which, Dan, this is how you know it's the pressure. I was there at spring training. The juices were flowing. The park is full. The Soto shuffles out. The home runs to left. The home runs to right. The 110 miles an hour off the bat. The season starts and bam, he's pulling the ground balls. And it's never stopped. 60 games in.
It's a sign of someone who's clearly trying to yank it. I mean, Soto is at his best when he's doing what, Ray? Going the other way.
Going the opposite way.
Yeah. So I think once he starts doing that, we're seeing the shuffle a little bit. Maybe he's purposely trying to tease us as Mets fans. I really don't know. But when he wakes up, don't say Metcast didn't warn you.
I think he will one day. Hopefully it's this year. Hopefully it's before the All-Star break. Buddha says, Mets are cursed when it comes to huge contracts. Cursed. I wouldn't want to say that. I mean, at first, the Lindor contract didn't look too well. I bet you would all go back and sign that up for it right now. I would. I mean, we could also say this. Do you consider Manaea a huge contract, a 3-year commitment? Let's see what he is when he comes back. Shout out to him and Frankie Montas. I predict they will both be back before the end of June. They're both throwing. I believe Montas threw a simulated game. And that's one topic that we will get to next after the trade speculation or rumors, however you want to call it. What's going on with his pitching staff? The last two days getting rocked early.
Mm-hmm. Kane McGill.
Buzz says, I think his struggles have infected the whole lineup. Julio says he's playing like he doesn't love baseball. Maybe. I mean, look, there's a natural letdown. I mean, you guys probably experience it in your own jobs. You ever get a massive increase and you go, the thing I've been working for forever, I finally got it. It's time to take a breath. Soto got offered $440+ million from Washington and said no. Contract extension from San Diego and said no. A big contract from the Yankees in the offseason and said no. And he took the most money. So it's something that he's been working for 4+ years now. Finally gets it. Maybe that natural, maybe instead of going to the gym 5 days a week, I'll do 4 leading up to the season. Instead of, putting extra work in the cage, for 4 hours a day, I'll do it for 3. That might be a natural thing. I think that happens to some guys. Some guys have that killer instinct. And I thought he had that natural instinct. Maybe I'm wrong. Mark's one of those trade birds. Come on, Mark. Trade him back to the Yankees and pay $300 million of his salary. You know what? I'll let Cohen know that, and I'll get back to you. Ray, are you going to any games this weekend? Klub, I might be. My issue is convincing the wife because she don't want me taking the baby by myself. I want to go, and it's hard. Maybe a day game. I think I will be going Father's Day weekend. I'm gonna try to go to a game because at least they have a shot to beat the Rockies. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to get in there so they could start hitting effing home runs.
That's right.
Music man says, I could live with the slow start, but I don't like his chemistry with the team. His attitude, he seems distant in interviews after the game. He doesn't have the intangibles that Lindor has. I will say this, and Dan, I think you'll agree as somebody who's been in the clubhouse, that's his personality. He was like that with the Yankees last year. Go watch the last game when the Yankees lost the World Series last year. He's got his hat on backwards. They ask him, so you want to be a New York Yankee? Oh, I thought to my agent. Are you leaning towards the Yankees? Would you prefer? Something me and my agent got to discuss. That's just him. That's
Right.
literally him.
Once he went up on the top step after the World Series and looked up, yeah, you had a feeling, you know, not that he was going
Yeah,
to the
and
Mets, but yeah, he was hitting free agency and going.
and I don't want to hear, oh, his fan. The WFAN started this whole narrative, Sal Licata, Brandon Tierney, all these people. Well, maybe, his family forced him to the Mets. No one's forcing Juan Soto what to do. There's nobody that's doing that. Steven says, I'm tired of the Soto excuses. If didn't wanted to be here, shouldn't have signed here. That's why I think he wanted to be here. Look, there was a smoking gun for a while, or there was smoke when there's smoke there's fire, right? He was liking those photos of him at Citi Field years ago. That interview he did when he was 16 talking about one day donning the blue and orange. The writing was on the wall. And I honestly think he wants to be a guy on the team. That's what I do. And he knows being a New York Yankee, you will always be in Judge's shadow. That's what I think. Buddha says Juan needs to step up. Simple as that. He's a pro and he gets paid. Every day, says Ray, we got to believe on a better tomorrow. Sure. Let's see.
That's the spirit.
Mr. Excitement. Let's see how excited he is. He makes way too much money to be just above league average. With the contract comes expectations. He looks lazy, isn't a good fielder, and plays like he doesn't care. That is where I have my issues with him. He'll be a DH in 5 years or less. 5 years? I don't know. It'll be 30 years old. I doubt it. Or 31 years old. But way to bring the positive, Mr. Positive. Vincent says, I agree with Ray. I'm worried. That's right. That means, Dan, you are wrong.
Oh,
I agree with Ray. I'm worried for this year. Hear me out. Obviously, I realize Soto is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not yet. Too many people say that. Not yet. Not even close yet. Let's be real. But this is why I love the name grown. I guess you're meant to say, homegrown talent. Excuse me. Over the big name free agent. I would have rather go down with the Beatties and Vientos, Alvarez, Mauricio, etc. Give me all the kids. Yeah, but you know what? If anything, these last few World Series has told you, you need stars. Star in the biggest star moment. The Dodgers won the World Series because Freddie Freeman. That's why. The Yankees made the World Series because Juan Soto. That's it. Stars will be stars. Unless your name's Aaron Judge. As long as it ain't October, you're good. Big Frank says if Soto didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be here. Let's stop. I agree. I never thought that he didn't want to be here. Mike Piazza did the same thing his first year, Jeff says. How much was Mike Piazza making when he was traded from the Marlins? 100 grand? I mean, Let's see what else we got going on here. I'll get to one or two more, and before we move on to our biggest Mets pitching rumors. Start infusing younger how do you say it? Ternita? Hopefully I said that right. Start infusing younger players ready as a way to push our lower lineup. Let's get Mauricio his athletic ability in the lineup. They need more energy. Soto has to step up, though. And we'll leave it there. I know there's a ton. Oh my gosh, there's a ton more comments. Appreciate you guys all checking in, but we're going to head on to our next segment. Be sure to leave a comment. I'll be sure to get to you guys after this segment's here. But that leads me, Dan. If this happened, you would arguably have the two best players in baseball at their respective positions that are in their 20s. Over from John Harper at SNY, Jim Bowden, former Mets GM, offers 5 prospect proposal for Paul Skenes. And if you guys don't remember, I'll remind you kindly. The rumors are out there. The Pirates will be open for business this offseason. Not saying it's a guarantee to trade him as he has 4 years left on that rookie contract. But the Pirates see the writing on the wall. A team's going to want him. They're going to give up a massive haul. And what they're hoping is if we can get 3 or 4 guaranteed major league players from that haul, we can then take our 3 or 4 guaranteed top prospects and make a whole team in the field. Because the Pirates are wasting away Paul Skenes. Also, when a guy throws 100, 101, 99, 98, and sits at those numbers the way Paul Skenes does, typically they don't hold up into their late 30s. Ask how Jacob deGrom's doing. Finally pitching again. But he goes on to say, trade proposal for Paul Skenes that could get Pirates' attention from Mets. Oh, man. Carson Bench, Jet Williams, Brandon Sproat, Ryan Clifford. Have to believe David Stearns would sprint to the phone to make that deal, but can't see Pittsburgh doing it. That's what Harper says. Now, let me know what you guys think. I want to remind you of this, and I'm going to pull it up really quick. See, is what happens when I'm unprepared. I don't have it pulled up. Quickly on the rise, becoming one of my favorite prospects, the 22-year-old, 19th overall pick, Dan, Carson Bench. Take a look at these stats, and he's probably 1 year away. 2025, 147 at-bats, 4 homers, 26 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 305, 951 OPS. Let me say it again. 951. And while I pull up Jet Williams' numbers, Dan, give me your thoughts on this potential proposal.
Yeah, a couple things with this. I don't think the Pirates, and from who, things I've read, who John Heyman has spoken to, people in the Pirates organization, they would never trade Paul Skenes. I don't see a world where they ever will.
Never? You think they'll let him walk in free agency?
I don't.
They're not going to pay him $400 million.
Maybe at the end, you had to try to get some value for him. There is the idea, they were talking about it on Baseball Night in New York tonight, like you could trade him today, and that's where all this stuff came in. And, you get a lot of value for him now. Just about any team would empty their farm system for Paul Skenes at this point. I don't know. The Mets,
what do you think of that specific proposal?
Yes, I would do it, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. Bench and Williams and Clifford, what he's expected to be, and Brandon Sproat, who we talk up so highly. I would do it because Paul Skenes is one of one, but
here's Jet Williams' numbers.
Tough trade.
137 at bats, 22 runs, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, 285, 858 OPS. Pretty damn good.
Paul Skenes is, even with the injury concerns and eventually down the road, you can't think like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is Brandon Sproat ever going to be Paul Skenes? That's probably a question you have to ask in your heart of hearts.
I would think they'd want Nolan McLean as well.
We don't need pitching. Yeah. We need a bat right now, Ray. I don't know what bats are out there that we're going to be looking at.
Well, you don't need it right now, but come postseason, if I could tell you could have Griffin Canning as your ace or Paul Skenes, you could have Paul Skenes or Griffin Canning twice in a series against the Dodgers. Who are you taking?
Yeah, that's not even.
That's what you're talking about, because Paul Skenes is the guy that goes 9 and gives up 1 to a loaded Dodgers team in October, where, let's be honest, Griffin Canning has been a nice story. Got rocked today for the first time. Not saying that's what he is, but He was out of baseball last year. We don't know what Sean Manaea is going to be. Frankie Montas can't stay healthy. David Peterson, I trust him. Senga, I trust him. But if you could go in the postseason and you're starting pitching, your 4 pitchers you're going to use would be Skenes, Senga, Manaea, Peterson.
Yeah, I
You
just don't.
compete with
Yeah,
anyone.
I hear you. I do. It sounds amazing. I would love it to happen. I think Paul Skenes of all pitchers belongs in a big market. We can't have another Mike Trout just dying in a mid-market team and never seeing the light of the playoffs ever again. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of players. It's a lot of stuff that we've built up over years for one pitcher. I would do it, but I don't think the Pirates are ever going to do it, and I don't think the
I
Mets
don't think
even.
David Stearns would do it. I
Yeah,
really
they need.
don't.
Yeah,
He's set in his ways. He doesn't believe in that because, excuse me, anybody who's going to make a move like that, you have to foreshadow you're going to pay the guy. Excuse me. Feel free to talk during the dead air, Dan. I'm coughing
oh,
over here.
no, reading some of these great comments from our great listeners here. But yeah,
Yes,
it's an interesting subject. We could circle back to that by the trade deadline too. You know,
absolutely. So let's look at some of these comments over here. Thomas says, the Yankees lost to Colorado. Yeah, they did, but they got a 7-game lead. We don't. Don't forget Lindor struggled his first year, could turn around from Joseph. Thomas says absolutely no way, and that's in regard to the trade. Interesting. I told you, Dan, it's very much all over the place. Zach says I'd never trade all that for anyone. See? Rather swap out Bange, but the rest, sure. Chris says 100%. Zach has a good point. Our pitching isn't the issue. It's runners in scoring position. Yeah, it's been the bats, and I'm shocked. Aren't you shocked, Dan, that that's been the overall issue? The
yes,
bats just cannot hit with runners in scoring position.
it's worst.
Guma says we don't need Williams or Clifford, so it's like Sproat and Bange for Skenes. Pittsburgh not doing this deal.
Yeah, no way.
Maybe that's why Jim Bowden doesn't have a GM job anymore. Sorry. But look, then you get Thomas. No way I'd give up that much. Way too much. See, you get responses all over the place. We'll move on to our final topic, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, Dan, Ronny Mauricio, who's tearing it up in his rehab start down in the minor leagues. He's hitting like 700, ton of balls over 110 plus miles an hour, home run, doubles off the wall. This guy needs to be up here. And somebody, I think it was you who put out the poll today. Who would be, was it you who put out the poll? Is that your poll?
Might have been.
About who would have to go down between Vientos, Beatty, and Acuna. And in my mind, 100% it's Acuna. No doubt in my mind. Today's lineup was the lineup to have. They should run that lineup out every day. Beatty is the protection for Alonso, who's protected by Vientos. That's what it should be. Beatty making more spectacular plays over at third base, plays that Vientos would never dream of making. But that's where it's at. What are your thoughts on Ronny Mauricio?
Listen, it creates such a confusion in a good way because he's such a dynamic player. And if all signs check out, he gets back to full health. This is the third baseman. I mean, yes, he can play second. I'd maybe try him out there to get his legs under him if we're not going to try him out at DH. And obviously, I don't think they'd try him out in left field, given that it didn't really go too well when they did that in the minor leagues. So it's really between second and third. And we all know what's going to happen when he plays third. We've done a great job of covering it on these live streams, talking about it, getting ready for the anticipatory arrival of Ronny Mauricio, but it's coming. And yes, he's smoking the ball. He's doing all the right things. You just have to make sure that he's healthy and ready. If he is, I think Acuna is the one that you look at and say, yeah, he's probably out of the equation. I just don't. I like his speed, but that's what Mauricio gives you. Before too long, you're going to forget about Acuna, as crazy as that sounds, unless you want to put all this on
Dan,
Vientos.
listen to these crazy stats.
Yeah.
53 games. And guys, it's in AAA against the best pitchers. 53 at bats, 10 runs, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 302, 817 OPS. He needs to be up here. End of story.
And
Switch
Vientos,
hitter. Say it again.
Vientos is out of options too. I keep seeing people say,
Are you sure about that? I thought I read he had one. But it doesn't matter. They're not moving Vientos down. It'd be between Beatty and Acuna. Vientos is a lock to be here. After what he did in the second half last year, I think he's a lock to be here. And I will add this too. Last year, and John Harper spoke about this, they tried Mauricio at second base. He did not like it at all. And I'm shocked I'm even saying this. I actually think Brett Beatty's plenty agile to go play second base every single day. He's improved his defense tremendously. Mauricio has the absolute cannon of an arm and is definitely comfortable at third base. That would be my lineup. McNeil would be kind of the MacGyver, who'd be play a little bit of center, a little bit of left, a little bit of right. Add depth. Hit Ronny 9. Be that secondary leadoff hitter. Wait till that's where I would be. What do you think?
I'd DH Vientos. I'd put Beatty at third. I'd put Acuna as the utility guy off the bench. And then Mauricio is, I don't even know. He probably is starting at second base to begin, I would think, unless they want to DH him. Because whoever he's up against, it's going to be a tough thing because he's a switch hitter, like you said. So if Vientos does have that option, I'm just overlooking it, then maybe he gets sent down. But I tend to agree with you. I don't think he's at the point where they would send him down. I just don't see how you could send Brett Beatty down. I think you trade Brett Beatty before you send him down again. If we're being really honest here. Like, why would you? Yeah. So we'll see.
Not that I'd want that. But that's what we got for you guys today. Again, if you're enjoying this content, we ask you to smash that like button. Maybe share it with a friend. We'll probably be on for most of the post games coming up. So if you want to hang out with us post game, we typically go live after most games. Not every game because I have the daughter and we both work. But most games we'll be doing post game lives. We do guests on a lot of the off nights. Tonight, I just wanted to be Dan and I, so we did not bring a guest on. But shout out to the over 800 people that joined us live today. Appreciate you guys as always. We need to win against Colorado. A sweep and nothing less. I will accept nothing less, Dan, than a sweep. But as always, everybody, thanks for sticking around. As always, let's go.
Mets, baby. Come on, man.